The Biden administration is creating a, quote, disinformation governance board. And the person leading it, someone who spread misinformation about Hunter Biden's laptop. You cannot make this up. This is Outnumbered. Hello, everyone. I'm Kayleigh McEnany here with my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Emily Compagno. Also joining us, Morgan Ortegas and Brian Kilmeade. Critics are ripping the Biden administration after it announced it was setting up a disinformation governance board. Sounds like something from 1984, right? Well, it's supposed to combat misinformation ahead of the midterms. Person heading it, a woman named Nina Jankowicz. She is a Russian disinformation expert who cast doubt on the New York Post reporting about Hunter Biden's laptop. She suggested it was, quote, a Trump campaign product in 2020. Of course, the news comes just days after Twitter was sold to Elon Musk. Some critics are calling the timing Orwellian, you think? Jankowicz herself says she shudders to think about Musk taking over Twitter. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas explaining why the board was created during testimony yesterday.
We have just established a mis- and disinformation governance board in the Department of Homeland Security to more effectively combat this threat, not only to election security, but to our homeland security.
Brian, you can't make this up. It's as if the DHS secretary has nothing else going on, maybe at the southern border. So disinformation, it is.
It's amazing because this is the second thing. Mayorkas, in looking at his background, talking to Tom Homan, he knows exactly how to control the border. He knows exactly the policies that work and don't work.
You saw that.
You see it over and over again. So he's choosing to be a soldier to not enforce policies that could make our country safer and more respected around the world. And now he has to know that this is the wrong person and the wrong message, but he is going to oversee it because somebody, whether it's Susan Rice or some advisor, I'm not sure, told him to go ahead and do this. And the person he picked is somebody that if anyone Googled or looked at Wikipedia, which sometimes is accurate, you could see that this is in the background. Why would you want this fight? And I'll bring it to this. I feel as though, Kayleigh, that this administration is acting like this is pre-election media. Because if you watch what's happening in the press conferences, oftentimes you guys cover during your shows, Harris, they're getting more and more questions about Hunter Biden.
Yes.
They're getting more and more general questions about inflation, more and more general questions about Ukraine, why it took so long to arm. So the media is beginning to broaden out a little, and they're pretending as if we were the only game in town, and the other media is having to cover real stories. And I think this is something that could very well be the beginning of blowing up in their face.
I think so. I mean, a disinformation board, think about that. Do you want the government deciding what's a disinformation or not? Why? Yeah, exactly. But this woman in particular, Harris, Emily Jankowicz, let's be clear about exactly what she's done in the past. First, during a presidential debate, she posted that line about all of the experts in the intel community saying Hunter Biden was disinformation. And she came out and said, oh, I was just quoting. I wasn't actually saying, I believe the article. Right. Well, we're smart enough to have Google and look this up. We looked up the Associated Press. Here's what Emily Jankowicz was saying during the campaign. Are the new emails from the Hunter Biden laptop authentic? The actual origin of the emails are unclear, and disinformation experts say there are multiple red flags that raise doubt about their authenticity, including questions about whether the laptop actually belongs to Hunter Biden, said Nina Jankowicz, a fellow at the nonpartisan Wilson Center in Washington. We should view it as a Trump campaign product.
Look, we're not confused by this, but I think Brian's right, and we heard Tom Homan, former director of ICE, last hour say it. This is the shiny object that Mayorkas and the Biden administration need today. They need somebody to look at the situation, put Nina Jankowicz out there. She's got some acumen, some resume points coming from Russia, understanding and linguistically and so on and so forth. Put that out there. Say we're looking for the truth for the people. Disinformation governance. Start no further than what's happening on the Hill right now with Secretary Mayorkas. Yep. There's a lot of disinformation governance that we could do from right here on the couch, right? You could look at what's not being done at the border, which is what you were talking about, and this is the shiny object. And she's the perfect person to lead the brigade of the shiny objects because no one really looks deeply at her resume. They don't really, they can't understand what she just said was what she meant, right? She meant that. Like it's Trump made this up about the Hunter Biden laptop. well, then how the heck are we getting receipts of meetings at the White House? And like, where's all that stuff dripping from? It's got to come from someplace. I mean, the drunken guy left it and didn't go pick up his laptop. We know that from the shop owner. Right. And I'm hoping that his addictions have been dealt with, Hunter Biden. But look, a lot happened in the gap between when he was a sentient being and what we have now. And none of that was brought on by Donald Trump.
No, it was not a Trump campaign product. This was real. This was credible. As the New York Times now admits, Emily, Nina Jankowicz also reminds me a lot of Prince Harry. And here's why. Prince Harry said the first, you knew I was going to say that. Prince Harry said the First Amendment is bonkers. Nina Jankowicz said, last week I told NPR, Michael, I shudder to think about if free speech absolutists were taking over more platforms, what that would look like for the marginalized communities, which are already shouldering disproportionate amounts of this abuse. Emily, the government being involved in disinformation in any capacity, for good reason, strikes fear in a lot of hearts.
That's right. And I see the two largest problems I see here are, number one, having the government be the answer, the proposed solution to an issue, and then the performative activist nature of this particular person, right? So let's tackle the first one first. This is like an episode of The Office, right, where they're like creating a committee on the issue of too many committees. Like, this is exactly what the government should not be operating in, is the ascertainment of what, in fact, is disinformation, as we've been saying here. Isn't that a matter reserved for the media? Isn't that a matter reserved for the courts, frankly, in these things that we've seen blow up? For example, the Nicholas Sandmann issue, the New York Post issue with Hunter Biden's laptop. That certainly wasn't the purview of the government coming out and saying, here you guys, here we go, now we've got it. This, in fact, is the truth. And then her absolute speaking out of both sides of her mouth in such a transparent way that has just a political underpinning. And here's what I mean by that. So she, in one side of her mouth, says a huge focus of our work is to maintain the department's commitment to protecting free speech, while on the other hand saying exactly that she opposes the First Amendment because she thinks it's bad for marginalized communities. But you know which one she talked about specifically? Wow. The Hispanic marginalized community. And isn't it interesting that now we are learning how many Hispanic Americans are leaving the Democrat Party in droves?
It's a coincidence.
Exactly. Yeah, just a coincidence, right? Just last month, the New York Times ran a headline, while Democrats debate the phrase Latinx, Latinos head to the GOP. So to me, it seems like one big additional ploy to claw back a group they think votes in a monolithic way to bolster their polls, and it's not going to work at all. And I think, ironically, Elon Musk said it best, where he said to be politically neutral, right? That's the goal of free speech, essentially, or that's the sort of end result of it. You upset both the right and the left equally.
Isn't that the timing of this too? I mean, Elon Musk just bought Twitter. He just bought Twitter, and all of a sudden, part of the agenda, if you will, like, oh my gosh, let me just clutch, I think I ate too many Doritos, I've got heartburn, that the left are having is, well, then we're going to have to watch out for disinformation, because now there's going to be information all over Twitter.
Yes.
What will we do?
Morgan, to that end about the Hispanic community, it is interesting. When Mayorkas was asked about this, no further details of the exact information being deployed was given, but the board would tackle disinformation ahead of the midterms, particularly in the Hispanic community. We have some of those headlines about Democrats hemorrhaging Hispanic support. You can read them for yourself there. I mean, they've lost to the tune of 20 points in some polls.
You know, I don't know that this would even hold up in court. So every agency is granted authority by Congress from which they can operate, right? And every agency also has oversight. It's really interesting to me. I was just reading, I think it was Politico yesterday, about many Republicans in the House that want to impeach Mayorkas in January for some of those, for some of the border and the actions and everything else. So it's interesting to me that they're doubling down on something. They know they're feeling heat from congressional Republicans, but they're doubling down on this. Why was the DHS created 20 years ago after 9/11? It was created, Department of Homeland Security, to protect us from terrorists abroad, because we had fragmented national security operations throughout the government, and it was supposed to house all of these national security operations into one place to protect us from enemies abroad. And now unelected bureaucrats are going to supposedly protect Americans from themselves. These are political appointees that are running amok, and I think think that we need House Republicans and hopefully the Senate, if we take that back as well, we have to have close oversight on this. I don't think it's constitutional to even set up this board. I don't think DHS has the authority under their mandate.
Is it clear what the punitive damage would be for someone who maybe even accidentally put out information that wasn't vetted correctly?
I don't know, outright disdain?
Right. I mean, but does the federal government come after you?
Right.
Does this governance committee have the right?
Just want to point out, they say that this would have no powers to crack down on disinformation and will instead try to combat it by throwing money at what it sees as a problem. Because that's what we need, the government throwing money at what it determines to be disinformation. It makes no sense.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.